Okay, it says we're live, but who knows? Let's go out to our Facebook group and see if we're actually live. And
Right.
it's scrolling and it's scrolling and it's spinning. I'm assuming we're live. Here it comes. Oh, hold on here. Well, we're just going to go for it. Usually takes a few minutes. It's a little bit of a delay. So, hello, everybody. This is Heather Morrison with Bold Beyond Belief, and welcome to this week's installation of Bold Breakthroughs. I am so excited to have with us today Miss Elizabeth Hatcher. I'm going to go ahead and read her bio, and then we will get started. There we go. Okay, ready? Elizabeth is a multi-passionate entrepreneur with an enthusiasm for helping others and giving back. A copywriter and content strategist by trade, she's also a marketing rep for a consumer goods manufacturer and the founding director of Women to Women Network, a membership organization dedicated to helping women in business. Elizabeth and life are very much intertwined. As are business and personal relationships intertwined. She's found life and business to be much more fun with friends, and helping others is a very rewarding pursuit. She believes there's an opportunity everywhere and in everything you do. She thrives on making ideas reality, and she thrills in discovering opportunities that help move others forward. That is just you in a nutshell. You're such a wonderful person, and you're always like such a giver and come from the spirit of service. So I am so excited to have you today. Is there anything you'd like to start out of the gate with and just say hello to the audience, and anything I missed?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. And hello, everyone, from my home office that is in a state of disrepair because, like all of you, I'm regrouping for the new year, which means gut the office and start over. Which I do every now and then because I just don't have enough going on. So, why not?
Yeah. In your free time, right?
Exactly.
So I gave you a little bit, you provided a bio for me, so thank you very much. But I wanted you to kind of take us on the journey of how your company and how your journey ended up being here, right now. Kind of what was that adventure like for you?
I tell people it was a happy accident. But maybe in life there are no accidents. You are where you're meant to be. But I do think it was a happy accident. The group, Women to Women, was not on my radar at all. I had been the director of member services for the Tualatin Chamber for a number of years. I had a long history of marketing in a lot of different industries and business types. And, writing is my thing. I'm a copywriter and content strategist. I like research and writing and learning. So when I hung out my shingle for that, I wasn't thinking about launching. I wasn't thinking about anything else other than I have time to write. And I was the chair of a Women in Networking committee, and the members wanted to expand the program, and so we took it outside of the chamber, just so that we could go beyond what the chamber mission was. We had a separate idea of what we wanted to be and how we wanted to network. And I stepped into it going, okay, ladies, fine, I will organize some coffees, get together for coffee. And it grew from there. Coffee and Conversation is where we started. We had a silly name in the beginning. It was the mid-month Motivational Monday. It's a mouthful, because we were meeting in the middle of the month on a Monday so that we could get motivated to finish out the month strong. That was the impetus behind it. Anyway, long story short, here we are a few years later, and the group has evolved into this incredible, dynamic community of women in business who, all stages, women who are new to business. They may be new in their career. They may be at the other end of a career, but new to business. They may be seasoned business owners and veterans, so to speak, who've been doing this a long time, very well established, wanting to reconnect. Whatever the case is, we are women coming together in the spirit of collaboration and mentoring and seeking inspiration. Life is fun, and more fun with others. Business should be fun. Sometimes it's hard, and it's definitely easier when you can work with others, and there's synergy. When you come together and you share ideas, you get more than you ever bargained for. So that whole giving spirit, oh my gosh, you can't run dry. You can't, because you're constantly refilled.
That's it. And you and I actually met in that Tualatin Women in Networking group. And what struck me most is that just the way that you gave it your all, and just the community and the vibe that you created, it was just one of together we rise. And I just love that mentality. There was no competition. There was no feeling like we were all like clamoring for attention or clamoring. It was just you had leveled the playing field so beautifully, and there was a space for everybody, which I really, really enjoyed, which is why I continue to follow you, because that's the vibe that you created in that tribe. And that's why I love and appreciate you so much. So I'm really glad. And I want to hear more about the networking in just a moment, but I want to find out, what were some of the challenges that you were faced with in coming to where you are today? And like, how did you overcome those challenges?
There's two key things that pop into my head. One is time, because I have a habit of stretching myself very thin, and driving hard all the time. My husband calls me a workaholic. I don't think I'm a workaholic because I love what I do. So to me, it's not work. But there comes a point when you have to step away and recharge and regroup and refresh. And I have a tough time saying no to opportunities. I have learned to listen to my heart and follow the things that lift me up, don't weigh me down. If it feels heavy, I don't want to do it. Not because it's difficult or hard. There's a difference. I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid of challenges. I'm not afraid of facing my fears and trying to overcome them. But there's a difference between being afraid of something or, okay, I got to dig in, to this doesn't make me feel good. And when it doesn't make you feel good, that's when you really got to stop and take stock and do you let it go? Or you get to the root of what is it about it that makes you feel icky or is bringing you down. And if it's you, okay, deal with it. If it's the thing and it's like, I'm not supposed to be doing that, then let it go. And so I've had a little bit of that as I've tried to gain control of my schedule, gain control of my dreams, and rein them into a manageable something. So that's, I can't remember what the second thing was. I think that was kind of all together. Time management and knowing what feels light and what feels heavy.
Yeah. And I love that, because I think that particularly as women, we take on everything, and we have a hard time saying no. So I really appreciate the fact that you looked at things that were in your life and you are saying yes to the things that bring you joy, right? Even though from the external, it looks like you're just so busy and like your husband says, a workaholic. But there is a difference in everything that you bring into your life is there for a reason, and there because you enjoy doing it. There's a tremendous amount of energy shift that has to do with you doing things that you love versus you doing things out of guilt or obligation, right? So I love that you really dug in, and you also made that clarification between something that's difficult, right, and something that's hard, or something that you're not enjoying, something that sucks your energy, because work is hard. And I'm so glad that you brought that point up, Liz, because I think that we have become this microwave society. And if we don't get something, if we don't lose 30 pounds in 30 days, or we don't make 6 figures in 6 months, right? We either think, right, this is I clearly I wasn't destined to do this, so I'm going to drop it. Or no one told me it'd be this hard, right? Because we're creating this environment of, manifestation and visualization, which I love those things. And I have 2 vision boards on my walls. I love those things. But at some point you have to get up off the couch. You can't manifest $1 million unless you get up off that couch and actually go to work for it. So I love that you are saying, there are things in life that are going to be a challenge, and you have to look at those things and ask yourself the question that you did so beautifully. Why am I not liking this? Is it because it's really an energy sucker and it doesn't bring my energy level up? Or is it just because it's hard and I just have to push through it to get to what I want on the other side? So I love it. That's a lot of internal work that you've done. That's a lot.
I've had some help along the way. I've surrounded myself with really good people. It just happened, and that, who I'm attracted to, who I want to engage with, and I guess maybe what I'm drawing in. And I've gotten I'm very open, very transparent, very genuine. You know, people sometimes ask me, well, how do you do it all? I want to be like you. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm a hot mess. There's chaos up here. It's organized chaos, but there's chaos. Do you, I'll do me, and we'll meet in the middle and we'll be great. But getting help, definitely. You know, yes, you can do a lot on your own and you need to, but at the same time, you don't have to do everything alone, and nor should you. It's whether it's simply, I need a sounding board, or I need, you know, a devil's advocate. I need someone to hold me accountable. I need someone to say, yes, you can, you know, stop beating yourself up, or someone to say, that's a great idea. Here's another way to look at it. You know, because it's very easy to get caught up in your own thoughts and your head of, you know, okay, I'm going to do this, and you get single-minded with stuff, or you hit a wall and you beat yourself up, you bring yourself down, and neither one is productive. So surrounding yourself with good people and being open about yourself, being open to sharing your own flaws and shortcomings. Because if you don't, how are you ever going to get better and get where you need to go? There's no clear, straight path without obstacles. So
right. And I love that you bring up the idea of transparency, because I think that in this time of social media, I think this is beginning to shift a little bit, but certainly we've all fell under the you know, the draw of social media. And why is this person have it seemingly so together? And when you look behind the scenes, they're not. They're like that little duck, right? The little duck that's just gliding along on the water, and underneath her, their little feet are going like this, right? It's like you said, hot mess. And we don't see enough of that hot mess. And so I'm glad that you're being transparent about it, right? Because what you're doing for other women and for other business owners is you're showing them, you're leading by example. Like, this stuff is hard. This stuff is a challenge sometimes, but you got to ask for help. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. It's necessary. And one of the things that you do when you ask for help is you get that collaboration and the other ideas come in. I always look at life like a choose your own adventure book, because you chose this door opened, right? Remember those when you were a kid, the choose your own adventure books? And because you chose this path, this happened. And this, you know, they led to this fork in the road, which gave you two other choices. And a lot of times I think that the people that we choose to surround ourselves with really heavily influence what our path looks like. Right. Yes. And you wouldn't have thought about, or you wouldn't have had the option to take those other little forks in the road if this person hadn't shown you that there was a different way, or this person hadn't kind of made you think, well, how about if you think about it this way? So I love that you're open to collaboration and that you're transparent with your process, with your journey. Hugely important. That's awesome. So what is one bold move, because this is all about the bold breakthroughs, what is one bold move that you made in your life, or a bold breakthrough that you had in your life that you could point back to, something that was instrumental in how you live your life now?
So, you know, it goes back to when I resigned from the chamber, because I absolutely loved that job. And anyone who knows me would say that was the perfect job for you. I mean, it really was. It was like a tailor-made job for me. Yet as much as I loved my job, as much as I loved the people I worked with and all the members and everything about the chamber, I was not happy. And I couldn't figure it out. I tried meeting with coaches. I would talk to members. I tried working with Linda. She was the CEO at the time. I kept trying to change my approach. We kept changing my responsibilities. And we did everything to try and make me happy in my job. And it finally hit me that I got to do my own thing. That's why I'm not happy. I love helping people, but I have to do it a different way. This isn't working for me. I'm lost in this job that I love so much, but it's not me. And it just, it hit me one day. It was literally one day I was, going about getting ready for work and making my smoothie, because I'm a smoothie girl, and I was making my smoothie before I headed out the door, and the word Jackie popped into my head. And I sat there as I'm, my blender's going. I'm like, Jackie, I'm a Jackie of all trades. That's it, it's okay. And I didn't think anything more of it, and I went about my day. And I had a meeting with what I thought was a potential member. We had met at an event a few, maybe even a year prior, and he reached out for a coffee date. So I met for coffee thinking he wanted to know more about joining the chamber. I'm like, oh, he's finally ready to join. Great, his business is taking off. This is fantastic. Not at all. He just wanted to see how I was doing. And through the course of the conversation, by the end of that coffee date, I had a clear vision of business path, time to quit. This is what I'm going to do. Now is the time. And it was just the light, it just went off. And I then had lunch with a couple of committee members from the chamber. I told them what I was doing, and they were just like, oh my God. And then I had a phone call with a trusted, it was happy hour with a trusted acquaintance from the chamber. I told her what I was doing. She's like, let me know, I'll hire you. I'll be your first client. And then I called my best friend on my way home and told her what I was doing. And she's like, yes, absolutely. So everybody was yes, yes, yes. I mean, the dominoes were just falling. And then that night I sat my husband down and wanted to talk to my husband so bad. And finally, 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, you have got to sit down and listen to me. I'm quitting my job. I'm launching a business. It will be, and at that point I had added the 427. I said, it's Jackie 427, because I'm a Jackie of all trades, and it's April 27th. And it's just, that's what it is. Jackie 427. And he's like, what's going to be different this time? Because he was worried about me overworking, stress, all of that. I have a history of it. And I said, because this time I have absolutely no fear, and I have a clear path. I had complete belief in myself, which I guess had always been there. So yeah, that was a pivotal, monumental day. I woke up in the morning ready to go to work, and by the end of the day had a plan for how I was going to resign and launch my business, and I did. Yeah, just one of those things. When you're supposed to do it, sometimes the universe just hits you over the head and says, now. And you go, okay.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said there's a quote that I came across from Ann Landers. Do you remember Ann Landers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was a advice columnist. And the quote that I came across was something to the effect of that we tend to think that there's strength in holding on and persevering and pushing through that challenge. But a lot of times there's more strength in realizing that you have to let go and then letting go.
Yes.
Right. So I love that you were like, no, and I love that you looked at it from different angles, right? You tried to make it fit. You tried to make the job fit for you. And then you realized, you know what? I don't have to stand for this level of unhappiness anymore. I get to decide my own life. I get to decide my own happiness. I quit. I'm going to do this myself. But there's so many of us that keep pushing through because we don't want to be a bad employee or a disappointment to our spouse or, any of those other things. And at the end of the day, you just pushed through and said, and I love that your husband said what's going to be different this time, because it really solidified why this was going to be different for you this time. Right. And I love that you were like, I don't have any fear. You could do this in your sleep. Why not do this for you? Right. I love that.
Right.
That is a bold move to leave someplace that was so comfortable in terms of you knew what you were doing. Right.
Right. Well, when I launched Women to Women, I didn't launch Women to Women. Women to Women kind of happened with the coffees and a spinoff from what we were doing before, and it grew. But when I made the decision to really say yes to the organization as a true entity, not just this loose thing, that was a big deal because I did not want to volunteer anymore. I was going to resign from the WIN committee, which I did. And I didn't want to volunteer to run a women's group. I was pulling back on all my volunteering. It wasn't something I wanted to do. And when I finally, the year that I did say yes to it, I had months earlier in January, I think, met with another woman who's actually on the leadership team. And we brainstormed what it could look like. What would the full year programming, what would this thing look like if we really formalized it? And I came away from that full day of retreat with her with just a pit in my stomach and just the just queasy, like I just got off a roller coaster of, I don't know. I don't think that was very fun. I don't want to do this. I don't want to, And I was like, we'll just let this I'll run it a little longer and then we'll see. Mm-hmm. But over the course of the next few months, it just kept rising up. And it was, I worked with another coach, and it was through conversations with her that I was like, oh, wow. Okay, here's the joy. Right? Because I was all over the place that year, pursuing different things with my writing business, getting into nonprofits and fundraising, which I'm good at. But I'm like, that's not my thing. It's not what I want to do. And really, that's where she taught me to pay attention to what feels heavy and what feels light, and follow what feels light. And Women to Women felt light. And I'm like, I'm ready to go there now. It didn't give me that pit in my stomach anymore. I had that clear vision again of so when I said yes to Women, there was no fear. It was funny. My husband, he and my son were going on a cross-country trip visiting colleges because he was being recruited. So they went to go visit all the colleges. And while he was gone, I launched a business. So when he came home, I'm like, guess what I did while you were gone? And I launched another business. He's like, oh my God.
Next time you go to town, you're gonna buy a house and a new car. So that's
Yeah. So he doesn't leave me alone too much. I get into trouble.
Okay, that's fine. So speaking of Women to Women, what's your big vision for your company or for the networking group for your life? I mean, what's your big vision here? What's your long term?
It's a scary vision to me, because it just seems so ambitious and so audacious. And really, Liz? But yeah, my big vision for Women to Women is that it grows to be here we are, this local little thing that's strong and vibrant and awesome. And I want it to become a regional, a state, and then a West Coast, and then a national. I can see where it can, I don't see the road, how it can get there. Not yet, it's unfolding. But I can definitely see the possibilities of where this group could go and the possibilities that the group could represent for the members who engage. And that's what it's all about. Anything that I do with this group, it's part of why I have a leadership team. I want to bounce ideas off of them. I want them to pull me back if they need to, or push me in directions that we need to go based on what I may not be seeing that the members are bringing to the table. So I vet things out with them. But everything to date has been driven by what the members want. It's not my vision. It's, I see the possibilities and I want to go there. I want to take you all there. But it's really being driven by what the members tell me, what they're looking for, what they resonate with the group brings. Okay, we need more of that. How can we deliver this? And carefully, because I don't want to crash and burn. I don't want to take on too much at once. But yeah, that's a big, scary, 10-year vision. So, yeah.
Well, and I like that you said, you don't need to see the road, right? So I think that so oftentimes we think we need to know all the answers before we start out. And I always tell people, I encourage people to think of it like, if you wanted to go to San Francisco, would you have to physically see the Golden Gate Bridge before you left? No, you get in the car, you trust that the GPS is going to get you there. You get on the road, you can't see the entire road while you're sitting in your driveway, but it keeps coming to you, right? It keeps unfolding as you go along. So I love that you had the vision and the how, and, is going to be up to you and your leadership team and the members. I love that there's that buy-in from everybody.
Absolutely.
And that you're reaching out for help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely believe in collaboration. I believe in synergy. These are the things that make you stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So much more together.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the best piece of advice you think you've ever received?
That's a really good question. I don't know why I'm so stumped on it.
Well, is there something that like when you're sitting and you're up against a difficult decision, or you're kind of stuck in a little rut, is there like a little saying, or is there a little something that just comes up that gives you a little shot in the arm and keeps you moving forward?
I refer to Nellie the Nag Hag. So Nellie, and I apologize to anybody named Nellie, but that's what I named her. Nellie the Nag Hag is that little voice. You can't do that. You should be doing this. Why haven't you done that? You can't possibly do that. This won't happen. You're not good enough. I mean, all of that. And giving her a name doesn't make her any stronger. It helps me diminish her because it's easy for me to say, not now, Nellie. Not now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got this, Nellie. I got this. And it's usually at 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when I wake up. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm in the dark. I'm going to the bathroom and the thoughts just creep in. And I've got a mantra, not now. Not now. When the bad thoughts creep in, that's all I have to tell myself is not now. Because if I try and come up with a positive thought, I can't. In that moment, I'm stuck. And so by just telling myself, not now, it clears my mind.
I love that because I love how you said that when you try to come up with a positive thought, because I've heard that a lot of people will say when you instead of telling yourself to stop thinking that negative thought, replace it with a positive one. But we don't always have access to a positive one at that moment.
In the moment,
and if you could think and if you could think of a positive thought, you would have thought of a positive thought at that point. So I love that you said, I don't always have a positive thought, but if I could tell her, not now, like you're telling a child, right? Mom's on the phone. Right. I'm busy doing stuff, not now. And I love this because Elizabeth Gilbert, Elizabeth Gilbert. I think
Elizabeth Gilbert. Yeah, she's the Little House on the Prairie.
She was half pint on Little House on the Prairie. That's right. So Elizabeth Gilbert, I don't know if there's any relation, but she wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love, and she's written a couple of other books. Mm-hmm. But she talks about when fear goes along for the ride, like when you go on a road trip, the metaphor, fear's always going to be there, right? But you get to tell fear, you get to sit in the back seat, you're not picking the radio station, and I'm buying the snacks, right? Because if you try to take the visual of like, fear is not going to be here. Fear, I'm taking that fear out. It's not going to be, I have no room in my life. It doesn't work. Fear is always going to be there. It's just the mastery of fear. So if you could put Nellie in the back seat, right? And just tell her, not now, Nellie, I'm driving. I got stuff to do. I love that visual. That's a really powerful, just a little teeny thing that you have in your tool belt to help you through that. I love that. I'm gonna borrow Nellie if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it. The other thing I've started doing, and it was just this year, someone had given me a journal. She gave me a journal sitting right here, and so I'm like, what am I going to keep in this journal? I have so many, I have client journals, and that's work stuff. But I'm like, what do I want to use this journal for? And so I wrote on the first page, "Good vibes!" with an exclamation point. Positive feedback and testimonials from customers, clients, teams, mentors, coaches. And then I broke down my 3 businesses and I put a star at the bottom, everything that's going well. So when somebody's giving me positive feedback, and I think we tend to do this a lot and I would say just women, but I think it's anyone in general, we tend to do this. We're taught to diminish ourselves, to not brag, don't be proud, don't be arrogant, all of that. And bullshit, be proud of yourself. I'm sorry. And so when I'm training myself, retraining myself that when I receive a compliment, to accept it graciously and not belittle or bring it down because they don't know all the madness behind the scenes. They don't need to know. What I put forward is all they need to know, and that's the good stuff. And so when I get the feedback, I'm putting it in my book. So when I have those days of what am I doing? Can I possibly, that 10-year dream, am I out of my mind? I look at the feedback and go, I'm in the right place at the right time with the right people. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I have one of those. It's called an accolades folder, and I've done the same thing. So I've saved thank you cards from business associates or personal associates during the years of, you did this for me, or this is how you made me feel. Because like you, when I have those junky days and I'm thinking, well, they can't possibly all be wrong, right? I've got to have some good qualities in there somewhere. So I love that you keep that journal. And you're absolutely right. Women are taught not to be, proud or braggadocious or, and we're also taught, and this is something I struggle with as well that I'm working on, it's a work in progress, is when someone says, I love those shoes. Oh, I got these for, $40 at Nordstrom. Why do we feel the need to do that?
I know, I do it too. So I'm learning to say, thank you. I love them too.
Yeah.
Or, these are my favorite.
Yeah, that goes along with, valuing yourself. So one of the two of the questions you've answered, it's like you're just walking yourself through this interview. I love this. Two of the questions are what's the a habit that's been instrumental to your success? So I would say probably that Nelly nag, right? You get to sit in the back seat. Is there anything else that you think's been really like a habit that's just been instrumental to your success?
I have allowed people to hold me accountable. And so being able to voice my goals, which is a scary thing, because you put it out there, then, oh, it's a real thing. And what if I fail? If I don't say it, then there's no failure. But if I say it and I don't achieve it, ooh, I failed. No, you just went a different way, or you accomplish other things instead. But having people hold me accountable keeps me going. That's that extra for the days when you're just not motivated. I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to pick up the phone. I don't, whatever it is, I want that glass of wine. I want that cookie, whatever, that instant gratification, knowing that, no, wait, I'm accountable. I need to follow through on these things. My clients, I need to follow through. My members, I need to follow through. My obligations, I need to follow through, whether I like it or not. Most of the time I do. But it's good to have somebody accountable so that you don't just avoid the difficult stuff. Mm-hmm. So having someone hold me accountable is huge, and asking for help, when things are tough, but it's not always great. I don't always know what I'm doing. I don't always have an answer. I get stuck, and being able to have those around me that I can trust and turn to and say, hey, I need help with this. I'm struggling here. So allowing myself to be vulnerable and stating my goals out loud and being accountable every single day, be accountable. Sounds easy. And some are like, yes, but true accountability is something else. And holding people accountable is not an easy task either, because when you step into, okay, I'm willing to hold you accountable, that means you really do. You got to call them out. It means you got to, hey, I haven't heard from you. How are you doing on this? No matter what's going on in your own life, you told them you would hold them accountable. Okay, that's a level of responsibility. So I don't take that lightly. If somebody asks me to hold them accountable, that's a commitment. I'm going to hold you accountable. So,
well, and I was going to ask I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was done.
So I was going to ask you, how does that show up when you ask someone to hold you accountable? Are you working with an accountability partner? Do you have a weekly meeting? Or do you just mean when you put things out there, then you feel accountable for having to deliver on them?
All of the above. All of the above. And I think that comes back to being just open and transparent. And, I don't need to keep it a secret what the big goals are. The more I put it out there, the more likely I'll get help. The more likely people will ask me, so how's it coming on that big dream? And I'll be like, oh, I better have an answer. So that keeps me accountable. Exactly. But I am, with my clients, obviously I have deadlines. I've got accountability there. I have some incredible referral partners, so I'm accountable to them. So there's built-in accountability with that business. With the marketing and consumer education I do with the manufacturing company, I could easily just coast. That'll never get me where I want to go. So I work with the team, and we hold each other accountable. We share our goals. We share our frustrations. We check in weekly. Sometimes we check in daily, even if it's just a quick text. What did you do today? And that's enough to go, I better have done something, because I don't want to zero.
Yeah. And I think that, you bring up
good after commas.
Okay, I haven't heard that before. Writing that, but that's a writer downer. Write that one down.
The more zeros, the better.
I love that you said, because I think that a lot of times when people, at least in the past, when I've been part of accountability calls, it ends up turning into a coffee chat, right? And you get together with the same people every week, and you talk about, you end up just recycling excuses. Instead of a true accountability call should be, okay, what do you got going on this week? Did you accomplish what you did last week? And why didn't you accomplish? Like, how can we support you through this? What are you struggling with? What are your challenges? Right? It shouldn't be an hour and a half of, well, I didn't really feel like it. And it's like, no, those are the excuses. And those excuses aren't going to propel you forward. What's going to propel you forward is that accountability of saying, okay, well, that might be a challenge, but let's dig a little deeper as to why that's a challenge, move you through it so you can pick up the needle on that broken record and move forward with stuff, right?
Right. This didn't work. Okay, what are you going to do different? So, which is funny because that made me think of an exercise I did for myself last summer. We took some time off, went over to Sun River for a few days, and I spent each morning. I thought I was going to be working on a business plan, and I never quite did. I still haven't done a business plan. No, maybe I have free businesses. You think I'd have a plan? I do. It's up here somewhere. But I sat down every morning and was writing out, okay, what are my goals with each business, and how am I going to get there? And as I was working on them, like, these goals really haven't changed much. Why haven't I hit them yet? I'm like, okay, there's the question. What do I need to do different? What's holding me back? I know what I need to do. Why am I not doing the things I need to do? And I still ask myself that question because I know what I need to do. And there are days when it just doesn't get done. And so the question you have to ask is, why are you not doing what you need to do? Yeah. What are you avoiding? What's keeping you from doing what you need to do? You're perfectly capable of doing it. Why aren't you doing it? That's a very good question to ask yourself, no matter what it is you're facing. Why am I not doing this thing that I know how to do?
Right. And then just peel back the onions on that, the layer on that onion, that it's not, because I think that we tend to have that self-hatred loop in our head, right? The one that says, you said you were going to do it last week. You didn't do it last week. Well, you're just lazy, or you must not want it enough, or like, no, well, like put the brakes on that. And
really look at why.
That because I don't know what I'm doing. Well, then do I know where to find help to help me figure out what I'm doing? Okay. Is it that I don't really want to be doing this thing? And why is it I don't want to be doing this thing? Is it because it's grunt work and you're just being a child and you need to have a chat with your inner brat? Right? Or is it something that you're not feeling fulfilled and you need to just ditch that, like you did with, with where you were working before, and focus in a different direction? And I always tell people, we are a human being with a finite amount of energy. You can only expend so much energy. So instead of continuing to expend that energy on things that you're no longer interested in and beating yourself up about it for it, right? Drop that energy, drop that goal or whatever it is that keeps showing up on your list year after year after year. Figure out if you really want it. If you don't, drop it and use that energy to go to work for what you really truly want. Right. Yeah. That's a tough thing to do for some people, because we figure, going back to that Ann Landers quote, well, that makes me a loser. That makes me someone who's a quitter. It's like, no, it takes a lot of strength to look at why you're not moving forward with stuff and then do something about that. Right. So I want to find out, what is that, looking back, what is something that you wish you had done differently, or something you are so grateful that you did do?
I wish I had, in previous jobs, or I wish I'd said no sooner. I wish I had stood up for myself sooner, instead of allowing the situation or the boss or whatever beat me down and grin and bear it, stick it out, and try and fix myself to fit the hole. Instead of going, this isn't right, I'm walking away. I wish and I don't do that so much anymore. I recognize a lot sooner when this isn't going to work. But it took years to get there. A lot of self-doubt and just growth that I guess has to happen. It's funny because I to say that I'm an insecure person, I'm not. But there have been situations throughout my career where it's like, how did I let myself get here? It was the whole keep the peace thing. So yeah, learning how to stand up and speak for myself more boldly. Intended.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what was the second question?
Awesome. Well, it was just kind of an either or, like something that you're really thankful that you did do, or something that you regret doing. So.
I'm glad I took a chance. I'm glad I said yes. To all the things I'm doing right now. I'm glad I said yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes is the answer to everything, I've heard. Although I think that could get me in trouble. Like, yes is not the answer to another bite of Ben and Jerry's, I've discovered.
Yeah. You got to learn when to say no.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've always been, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And I take it on. Yes, I can do that for you. Yes, here, let me do that for you. Oh, yes, I can do that. And just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Exactly.
So,
like either you should be doing it or that you want to do it, right? I could do a lot of things, but I'm not taking that on. I'll let someone else take that on in their zone of genius, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's wonderful to hear people say, "Oh, you'd be so good at that. You should do this." And you're like, "Oh, yeah, I should. I could do that." And it's like, "Wait, no. There's a reason
exactly.
I'm not. It's not the direction I'm going."
Exactly. Yeah, I tell people not to take things on that they're going to end up doing out of guilt or obligation later, right? If you take something on and you find yourself feeling resentful for taking it on, then tell them no. Like, it's okay to go back and tell people, I truly appreciate this opportunity, but it's no longer my focus right now. I'm going in a different direction. And then leave it there, right? Don't feel that you need to like trip over yourself with getting out of excuses as to why it's no longer going to fit your life. It's just exactly just doesn't. It just doesn't. So what are you feeding your brain right now? Like podcasts or books or webinars or what's going on to nourish yourself?
Well, the book that I'm reading right now is two. I'm reading What's Going Well, and I'm reading The Six-Figure Freelancer. And for that positive mindset, keep the negative at bay, focus on the positive. And then the Six-Figure Income Freelancer is really, it's because I'm looking at, okay, in order to grow, I'm at capacity if I keep doing what I'm doing the way I've been doing them. So I have to either let things go. I've kind of been through that whole thought process of what do I let go? I've let go of everything I want to let go of, and I'm still at capacity. So like, okay, I can't grow if I don't let go or change. Like, we already figured out I don't want to let go, so I need to change some habits, processes, how I'm going to move forward. And so that's business operations and structure, and I don't want to deal with that, but I need to.
Well,
so I think what do I outsource? How do I repackage my pricing for my working with my clients, and how do I approach my day, and how I manage my time, and there is some creative energy that goes into that, but not the creative energy that I love. It's a different energy, and it's what I tend to shy away from. So, I've got to spend time on this, and then I can explode. But if I explode before that, it's not the good explosion. So,
well, it goes back to what. Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying in the very beginning about you are now, trying to figure out what you can outsource and kind of offload on your plate in order to expand, because you're not going to be able to expand if you continue to do everything, right?
Right. I'll have to let stuff go, and then I'll still hit a ceiling because I will have let go of one while the others grow, and then we'll have the two competing, and then I'll have to let go of one while that one grows, and then I'll hit the ceiling again, and I'll be in the exact same situation. So I might as well figure it out now.
Awesome. Yeah, because if you have, those things that are going on in your business, when you grow, those things aren't going to go away. They're just going to multiply, right? They just expand exponentially.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's time to invest in what I'm doing.
Exactly. Awesome. And on that note, yeah, exactly. On that note, I would love for you to let people know how they can find you, how they can work with you, and kind of like any freebies or any resources that you'd like to share with people, or anything you'd like to share with the audience would be great.
Well, Women to Women is an amazing resource, and we set it up intentionally so that it's easy access. And affordable, and no mandatories other than you be a woman in business. But guests are always welcome to attend our events. Check them out. You don't have to join to get involved. Membership has benefits, of course. So you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Instagram. We have a website. We're doing regular monthly events. We've remained very active throughout COVID, and some virtual, some in person. like this tomorrow, it's gonna be a nice day. We are doing a net walk. We started net walks. So there's ways to get together safely outside. So that's one way. You can find me personally on LinkedIn. That's a great way to get in touch with me. And then, of course, through the Women to Women website, my email is there as well, Women to Women. So, yeah. And I love
Perfect. And I know you do. And you're such a great connector, and you're such a great person that just breathes support and belief into everybody that you touch. So I so appreciate you. If you could do me a big favor, and underneath in the Facebook group, underneath this post, if you could put your connections and the best place to find you, and and any events. And I love that you talked about the event that you've got coming up tomorrow. So if you could put that in there as well, and let people know how they can reach out and connect with you. Is there anything else you'd love to leave us with? Any little tidbits of joy?
The one thing that I want to remind everyone of is don't hold back. Yeah, we're in a pandemic. Yeah, the world is crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on. Don't let that stop you. Don't hold back. You can still connect. I have met more people in this last year and had my best year in business. I've had expanded my own network, my personal network, more than I ever did when I was going to meetings face to face. And I have found Zoom to be, people let their guard down. I mean, you're in my room, you're in my house. Yes, I have jeans on and I'm wearing shoes. It's not leggings and slippers right now, but a lot of days it is. And that's great. So let your guard down. It's okay. Be genuine, show up, and don't hold back. That's my advice.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I super appreciate it.
Always fun to talk with you, Heather.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. So if you guys want to reach out to Ms. Liz, you can find out more information. Should give her an afternoon to post that information down below. And I will see you next week on our next installment of Bold Breakthroughs. Thanks so much, Liz. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.